Think about this. We do really good in institutions, right? Everybody's been to rehab before, maybe even a psych hospital. We've gone through periods where we've sought help, and we seem to really get into a groove in that kind of environment. We do really well. It's a safe environment for us. And time passes, and then we get out, and then we always crash and burn. We always self-defeat. We always shoot ourselves in the foot. And it doesn't really take very long. Pretty quickly, within weeks or months, we're back into our old behaviors. And everybody's familiar with the relapse dynamic and da-da-da-da-da-da. But there's deeper things going on as well. And if we don't work those things out in our early recovery process, you're going to continue to repeat the same cycle. That's why this time has to be different. You got to be willing to deal with things you just haven't dealt with in the past. That's why. We can do so good, and our families get so excited. Oh my God, he's doing so good. She's doing so good. Sometimes our families will yank us out of rehab early, because we look good, we feel good. What could possibly be wrong? Well, of course, we look better and feel better. We haven't used for 6 months or whatever. But that is not an indicator of how well we're going to do in the future. Any addict can get sober for a period of time. If we don't change this crap on the inside, if we don't restructure our thoughts, if we don't learn how to think in a new way, nothing's going to be different. Just know that. And in fact, you've already proven that to yourself, right? Just like in my recovery experience, I proved that to myself many, many times, thinking, oh, this time I'm going to be just fine. But nothing had really changed. My outlook on life was still the same. I still looked at life from my perspective of all of my defects, of my self-centeredness, of my impulsivity. I want what I want when I want it. And if I can just hang around the people who agree with me and get what I want when I want it, and I never have to deal with any kind of difficulties or difficult people, and everything falls into place the way I want it to, then I'll be okay. Well, that is about the most unrealistic outlook that any human being could ever have, and yet we have it. Wow. That's how sick we are. That's how serious we have to take this experience. If we don't take it that seriously, like dude, you don't get serious, you're going to die. That kind of serious. You won't change much. You'll groove through, you'll get to a little bit better place, you look better, you feel better, you sound better, you can repeat some, recovery lingo, but you won't be better. You won't have changed. The only thing that's changed is on the outside, nothing's changed on the inside. So let's take a look at this for a minute. I added something at the end that I meant to put in the beginning, so we're going to jump around the board for a little bit. These kind of go together. But let's start with this. The whole point, we're talking about anger and depression, and by the way, you have it whether you realize it or not. I can remember my counselors telling me, man, you're angry, you're very angry, you need to deal with that anger. And they're like, I'm not angry. I'm the nice guy. I'm the guy everybody calls at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I come and help you on the side of the road. No, there's different kinds of anger. I was filled with anger. And you don't have to look very far. You want to know how much anger you have, look at your own behavior when you don't get something that you want. You're wanting something, you're expecting just some situation to be a certain way. It doesn't even have to be a material thing. You're expecting some situation to be a certain way, and when it's not, we don't do well with that. Now some of us will, we get externally, obviously angry. Oh man, this is bull crap, blah, 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 blah. And others, I think most of us tend to be more passive aggressive. Our attitude changes, our body language changes. Fine, just forget it. And we're right back in that all or nothing thinking. And there's a reason for that. That's what we're talking about today. Anger and depression have driven us because we don't know any other way to act. We have to be willing to learn how to act differently. So I want to start with this board right here. And I know, the camera probably can't pick it up, but you guys got it on your notes. But that's okay because I'm going to talk about it. In our past, we have, I've labeled it alcoholic home, but that doesn't mean you had to grow up around a bunch of alcoholics. It means however you grew up in a dysfunctional environment, more than likely, this is what the statistics show us, where things were unpredictable. You didn't, and by the way, this isn't about blaming our parents. That doesn't work. This is about us just looking at reality, looking at the behaviors that we developed, how dysfunctional they became for us, and what we can do about it. Unpredictability, walking on eggshells. You don't feel, you don't trust, you don't talk. Right? We learn that, and there's specific age ranges where this stuff begins to really take hold. But think about that. Just apply that. Go back to childhood. Unpredictability. In my case, I had an alcoholic father, and when he and my mom got divorced, I'm sure that was, she probably figured all the problems would be gone. But she was also bipolar, and then brought in an alcoholic stepfather. So things could get a little crazy. Things got very unpredictable. So, when you're a kid, you don't know how to deal with that. So how do we deal with that? Well, we begin to manipulate. That's how we learn to manipulate, because we don't know what to expect next. You're afraid to say the wrong thing. You don't know how someone's going to take it, because, hey, if they're in a good mood one day, they take it well. If they're in a bad mood the next day, all heck breaks loose. That's unpredictability. You don't know what to expect. Well, welcome to American life. I think most American families, deal with that in some ways. I've yet to meet, I've been doing this for 14 years now, I've yet to meet like the perfect family. There isn't one. But we're raised by humans, as humans. We make mistakes, we have regrets. This isn't about looking to see who we can blame. This is about us getting better. So you got to look at reality. So when we walk on eggshells, we don't know how to protect ourselves from getting hurt, so we just avoid. We learn one-word answers very quickly. Hey, where are you going? Nowhere. Hey, did you have fun at Johnny's last night? Yes. Nope. We don't want to get into a conversation because that's the part we can't control. So we're manipulating. That's where it all begins. We don't tell any more than we have to. Now, remember, as you relate this from your childhood experiences, you need to also relate it to today. How we act as adults. It's how we acted in high school. It's how we acted in college. It's how we act as young adults. It's how we act as older adults. It's the exact same behavior. But we take it from home, our childhood home, into our relationships, into our marriages, into our romantic relationships. When we get into situations that we're not comfortable, that we don't feel like we have control of, we revert back into these one-word answers. We do it with our spouses. Honey, where were you last night? Working. Well, how come you didn't call? Don't know. We're not great communicators. What we're trying to do doesn't mean that we're bad people. What we're trying to do is we're trying to protect ourselves from ever being hurt again. I'm going to get into that a little bit in detail. Let me just run through this. We use these one-word answers to keep to a minimum that pain. Now, imagine that pain for a minute. What is that pain? When you're a child, what do you need? You need reassurance. You need security. You need comfort, you need support, you need encouragement, you need unconditional love. Well, in an unpredictable environment, you don't know what to expect, and you don't know how to interpret other people's behavior. So, dad comes home drunk, or, mom's having a bipolar meltdown. We interpret that, as kids, we interpret that as, I'm not being loved. I've done something wrong. And we'll get to that in a little bit more detail. So, just understand, this is where it's a defense mechanism. This is where these defenses have come from. We don't know how to act. Anger and depression. There's a lot of anger just building up. Depression, which is just the other side of the coin.